I think what's so exciting is with ISI Elite Training that you're in you have a concept that is unique in this space. So why don't you share with the audience what makes you guys different in the fitness crowd?
Yeah, so we sit really in the same category as some other great brands out there, such as F45, Orange Theory. You got Burn Boot Camp. You've got Club Pilates, kind of in that realm, right? To give everyone kind of an idea of the category that we sit in. Class A space, high end retail, and really where I was a former athlete, Division I athlete, and when I founded the brand in 2013, I really wanted to take the component of camaraderie of because I look back and I'm like, yeah, I played at Clemson. I played in front of thousands of people on ESPN, but that wasn't the thing that ultimately that I remember the most or I cherish the most. It was the locker room, it was the camaraderie, it was the early mornings. And so when we started ISI, it was that component of how do we bring that into the element of functional foundational training. And as a former athlete, I truly believe that every person should train like an athlete. Why wouldn't we? Athletes typically are the most functional human beings. They're typically the strongest, most powerful people with the lowest body fat percentage. And so, how do we take that and train the average person like an athlete and then bring in that level of camaraderie and community? So, yeah, I say we're different is, a lot of people say they're about community. I mean, we are anchored in community. We have 95% retention as a brand, which is huge. And it's because 92% of our members are on the unlimited membership, which is rare in this space. And then additionally, I'd say we're very different because we've got about a 40% male membership base, 60% female. And in the boutique fitness space, you're typically seeing a lot higher averages on the female side. And that's really because of two components, I think. Number one is our strength. So we're highly focused on strength and conditioning, but not overutilizing, big 6-foot barbells and doing snatches or anything like that. But we do have the 5-foot barbells that allows men to get in there, get after it. And then the other component is our marketing. Any boutique fitness concept is a sales and marketing and should be a sales and marketing machine. And it should be that because you get to impact people's lives right through that. And so I think we do a great job. Our team at headquarters does a phenomenal job in really differentiating ourselves in each local marketplace as the leader in strength and conditioning. So it's kind of a full realm explanation, but I think it as quick as we can, that gets into kind of what ISI is. And then the name. Yeah. So ISI stands for Iron Sharpens Iron. It's an acronym for that from Proverbs 27:17. Essentially, you can look at it in two ways. Number one is the people that you surround yourself with. Are they sharpening you? Are they making you better? And that's what our community does for people. And then at the end of the day, you can't sharpen iron without friction. And so knowing that every single one of us, if we're going to get into a physical fitness routine, if we're going to, put ourselves in these circles, then most of us want to go to the next level in our life. We want to be a better mother, husband, father, entrepreneur, coach, whatever it is. And it's going to take friction. It's going to take resistance to get to that next level. And so I think that is really the heartbeat of our organization is there's this level of grit, and our members want to come in, they want to get after it, and they want to do life with others.
That's awesome. You know what impresses me? When entrepreneurs like yourself are not afraid to get into a crowded space. And what I'm curious to know is what made you say I'm doing this? Like, how did the concept become born? What was going through your head? Where were you in your life at that time? Like, how old were you? What were you doing? How did that whole thing come to be?
Yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of people ask when did the brand start, and I say when I was 16 and completely overweight. I was a really good baseball player in the state of Iowa, but I was about 80 pounds overweight, and I had dreams of going to play for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And I was at a camp my junior year. I was leading the state in batting average, but wasn't getting recruited at all. And it's funny, this coach brings me out on the warning track and walks me and essentially says, Adam, you're not going to be able to play. You're a liability on the base paths. You're not going to be able to play at Division I level. And really that moment was I think we all have these defining moments in our life. And that was one of those for me, where I said I could either just throw it in, or what I did was I went home, and it was right when like YouTube was coming out. So I started YouTube. How do you get faster? How do you lose weight? And the next few months, I guess over the next 6 months, I ended up losing about 70 pounds. Ironically, went to junior college for a year, was top 10% in stolen bases, and then went on to play Division I baseball at Coastal Carolina University. And so that's what got me started into it. And then ultimately, at that point in time, opened a small little training studio, and my name was relatively big in the community at that time because we were ranked nationally. And it was just a little bit of luck and a lot of consistent hard work. And so opened a small little studio called Beachbody Fitness. And I'm 22 years old. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, nothing about intellectual property.
As soon as I heard the name, here it comes. We have an infringement coming. So what happened from there?
A nice little letter, and we had to change the name. And so my wife and I, we were in a church service, and the entire sermon was on Proverbs 27:17 on Iron Sharpens Iron. I'm like, man, that's it. And so we rebranded, reopened in a bigger location, and that was really the birth in 2013 of ISI. And then we opened 5 locations there in Myrtle Beach, then moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and started franchising in late 2018, early 2019.
That's great. You know what I love about the trademark name that you've created is that, through the adversity of obviously, accidentally infringing on somebody else's mark, but by you creating ISI Elite, the name being so unique is a strength for you now in the future, because too many people try to trademark their franchise name, something that's so catchy, but it is so generic that it's very hard to protect. So it's one thing to come up with a name that is something that's easily marketable, but it's another thing to come up with a name that's unique. Like, in other words, you have to work harder with a name like ISI Elite Training, but long term, that's going to pay dividends because it's so much easier to protect that name. It's so unique, and that's something that as a franchisee is cannot be overstated enough. That's another feather in your hat for sure.
Thanks.
So let's talk about franchising. You've only franchised since 2019, is that right? And yet you have 39 franchises and over 100 territories. Tell us about that. How did you do that? That's a lot of development in a short period of time. Not to mention you went through obviously franchising during COVID.
Yeah. So our first franchise location opened January 2020. So that was interesting. Perfect time to go to market. But no, it was interesting. Where we've really holistically gotten most of our organic growth is through members. And, I think this is common in this space is customers they become raving fans. They want to own their own. And so 60% of our owners today, we're actually members first. And so Charlotte sold out, but we've got several owners inside Charlotte that are now owning in Raleigh and Atlanta. And it's really because of that. And through that, it's gained so much momentum and steam, and it's been crazy. We actually, this week, we were just named the 457th fastest growing privately held company in America by Inc. magazine, which is great. So we're at that period. We talked about this pre-podcast, right? Uh-huh. We're at that tipping. It's like life is chaotic. It's insane. I've got 3 little ones. But it is so fun at the same time to see the vision and the traction starting to gain and really going on that curve, because, I think we've got 35 active candidates right now in the pipeline for opening franchises that we're taking through. So we're on that kind of explosion gap right now, and we're hanging on. But I will say we've invested so heavily in infrastructure. We got 17 full-time employees at headquarters, and you get that from being at only 39 doors open. That's a lot of people. That is.
Yeah. But that's how you get to 100 locations plus. It's investing in the infrastructure, doing those things early and willing to do it. Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.